All right. Good evening, everybody, and a very, very now actually getting cool welcome. I think the winter breeze is coming. The festivals are bringing in beautiful messages of goodness, good health. Schools are opening up because this is what we all dreamt of, right? And we prayed for right through the last so many months that we should be listening to, children's feet actually stamping and coming into school. So, yes, we are really looking forward to this. I hope we all have a very safe festival time and keep ourselves so safe that the children can come back to school. So keep safe, keep celebrating. And Pan's mummy's story today. So Pan's mummy is little sad and she's sitting in a corner and looking very worried. And Pan walks up to her and says, Mommy, what happened? So mommy looks up and says, Pan, I've had to leave my job and I don't know what to do. So Pan did not understand it very well, but he knew his mommy was sad. So when mommies are sad, what do? You give them a nice warm hug. So he gave mommy a hug and said, I'm sure you can think of something to do. So mommy said yes. And then she went and she sat on the laptop and she kept thinking that what is she going to do? How is she going to go out and get a job? What is she going to do? She kept thinking and thinking and thinking, and Pan saw her really sad. Now, this is the situation many, many times that we see. Because of a shift, because of the situations, there are so many people whose jobs are worrying them. So, to talk about this, I have Prerna with us today. Prerna, a very warm welcome to the
Thank you so much.
Thursday.
A very big thanks to you for having me over, and a very warm good evening to the audience who are watching this.
Yes, so this beautiful young lady is like Pan's mum. She decided to, move with her husband on his posting and she had to quit her job. I was having a conversation with Prerna a few days back, and then the journey she told me was a journey which I felt I wanted to share with all of you. Because I myself, even after so many years of being in the profession, did not really experience this part of what she has. So, Prerna, first of all, we'll begin with your story from, a homemaker to, the professional life that you're leading today. So, can you tell us your story your way, please?
Yeah, so I had always been a very gregarious person, happy go lucky, who took the life as it came to me. I was very happy enjoying motherhood. Early years of my life were like getting married, having a baby, enjoying motherhood, looking after the family, and I was much content with it. But when my daughter started to grow, I realized that she's also going to have her life of her own. And I need to look for something that would give me personal gratification as much as it gives, like when I take care of my child, I enjoy it a lot. So I started to look for something that would give me equal happiness. I took it as a very casual thing that, all right, let's begin with something. Apart from shopping, going out with friends, partying, there should be something else also that you look forward to. Every day morning, you get up and you think that, okay, this is something that I have to do today. So, just with this thought, I associated with one of our very renowned companies of which is like presently working in Mumbai also, which is known by the name of Helena Berry International. It was the first breakthrough for me because it was about, I had this strong affinity for the language, English language particularly, but I never identified the potential that it had. I never thought that it would give me this immense gratification if I ever thought of taking it as a profession. I wanted to take it as a profession, but I didn't know how. One thing was clear to me that I don't want to be a teacher. I want to work. I would rather say which would be a kind of comfortable thing where I don't have to shoulder too many responsibilities apart because I loved the subject, but I would say I loved my family a lot at the same time. And I just did not feel like letting them be moving out of the house to do something which I did not enjoy. I enjoyed the language, I enjoyed the subject, but I did not enjoy commuting every day, handling multiple tasks. That is like a byproduct of being a teacher. So I started with
I think I want to stop you now. So everybody who's listening to her, just let her complete the story. We are going to see her journey emerge after all of this. Okay.
yeah. So I thought, okay, I might as well start with this 3 to 4 hours job wherein I would interact with the children. I would teach them the art of speaking. I would teach them the art of expressing themselves, which was a part of training that was given to me by Helen O'Grady International. So it so happened that I started with my job. I was doing that quite happy, but then my soul wanted something else. It wanted something more, not only dealing with children, teaching them how to express themselves, how to talk, but it was looking for something else. In that pursuit, I got associated with one of a very renowned schools of Jodhpur, which is Vidyashram International School. And the principal of that school was pretty kind to me. I guess she could see something which I never saw in myself, and she told me that, okay, Prerna, we are not going to offer you regular teaching, but I guess you can do something else. She asked me, what can you do for us? I told her that I would love to interact with children. I would love to tell them stories. I would love to tell them how to communicate well, how to be more expressive. She immediately came up with an idea that, okay, then you would be teaching our children how to do public speaking. Now, let me tell you, I had no idea that I have taken a path. I had no clue where it would take me to. I just knew that, okay, I love this language. I love interacting with children. But what I'm going to do with it, I didn't know. So I guess everything started to fall in place by itself in a chronology, like first getting associated with Helen O'Grady International, which taught me the art of dealing with children, which taught me the art of being more expressive, being able to use the language with emotions, with more voice modulation. Then school happened to me, where I was taught that, okay, even if you enjoy your work, you have to take it pretty seriously. You have to give your heart and soul to it if you want to achieve something in your life. Then the journey started in this hunger of being recognized, getting recognition for my work. If I'm putting in some work, people should identify it, people should recognize it. I started to give a little more. Maybe this will fetch me more results. Let's do a little more. Let's do a little more. And this little more actually made me realize that, okay, this is something that I have been looking for many years. This is much better. The pleasure that I acquire out of this is much more than the pleasure that you get when you're shopping, when you're socializing, when you're partying with your friends. When you are in your inner way, when you're satisfied, if you are internally satisfied, you would enjoy all these activities. But if you're not, if you haven't identified your worth, if you're not being productive in your life, you wouldn't you wouldn't enjoy the other parts of your life also. So yes, this is how it started, and then I guess there has
So
been no looking back.
this is how true teachers emerge, you know. It's not about just walking in and applying for a job and saying, okay, I'm going to do a job, but to discover that you enjoyed being with children, you enjoyed, and then after you studied this journey, I also know after speaking to you that you actually took on a full-time commitment with corrections, with copies, with tests, with patterns. So, how much did this acting, the work of Helen O'Grady, or your communication skills, how did it make your classroom teaching different?
So first of all, there is no denial to the fact that when I did regular teaching for a year almost, that was when pandemic was happening, and teachers, even the co-curricular teachers, I would say, were asked to do certain activities of a regular teacher. So we had to do that. I started this unwillingly, but if you're in love with your job, if you love children, you start enjoying that also. That doesn't come to you as a burden. So regular teaching, of course, it makes you more receptive because you have to handle so many children at a time. and you have to be yours all the time. Even if you're not very much interested, you have to listen to them. And then you realize that no, this is something that actually interests you. So that is when I learned, when you are into a classroom, you learn how to deal with many children at a time, right? Classroom teaching taught me first, this is the first thing that it taught me. Second, every child is different in his or her own way. You learn to cater to the need of every child. Everyone has different competence. You would be willing to answer the question of a child who maybe was not listening the entire lesson, but at the end of the lesson he thinks that, okay, this seems to be very interesting, and miss, I want to know how did it come out. So you wouldn't get annoyed, rather you would deliver it. You will cater to the need of the child. And yes, that teaches you how to be a little more adaptable to the situations, a little more flexible, and a little more welcoming. So this is one thing that only and only school teaching, or school learning, being a regular teacher, can teach you.
How beautiful is that? I think all the regular teachers watching you would so understand that and appreciate the fact that how you have actually put across how valuable the journey is what they are taking with their children. So there is this young person who decides that I want to not do this, and actually flows into this whole process of teaching, enjoys it. And then, Prerna, after that, when you had to leave your job and move on, for those few weeks, what was it that went on in your mind when you
So
left
you would be
your job and you had to move to a new city, set up a new place? What were the, what was going on in your mind?
So you would be surprised that when I started with my journey, I did not want to be a regular teacher. I did this for quite some time, which was almost a year. And when I had to leave this, I somehow felt that there's going to be a huge void in my life, which only a school could fulfill, which only classroom teaching, meeting children, doing schoolwork would fulfill. So for good 15 days, I was under severe depression. I just wanted to go back to school, but they would have taken me, but the condition being that I was moving. So that choice was not open to me. Then I knew that since I would be moving to a new city, which is absolutely pandemic stricken, I knew that I would not be in a state to approach schools and look for a job for myself. Let me tell you here, every time money is not the focal point. You are looking for personal gratification. You love your job. You love what you do. And when it is taken away from you suddenly, for whatever reason, you miss it to the core. And I think every teacher would agree with this, that a teacher, once a teacher is always a teacher. Once you start interacting with children, there is no looking back. You would look forward to meeting the weakest child of your class too, because that also gives you a kind of happiness. So I thought that, okay, I have to look for something, whichever way possible, however possible, I have to look for something. Then I happened to lay my hands on one of the platforms wherein you can upload your resume, which is Indeed. It is a platform where anyone and everyone can upload their resume, including your qualifications and your experiences. And the other companies who are associated with this platform would filter the resumes as per their requirements and would connect with you, depending upon their requirements. So it was this thing that opened the doors to me. Or not one, not two, but multiple doors to me. So this I would like to tell everyone who's listening to us right now, that if you think you are sitting back home and there are no opportunities available for you, because schools are not very welcoming these days, as they have their staff already.
Yeah.
So they are not in the process of appointing more teachers. You need not worry, because this is one platform where whatever qualification you have, whatever you want to do in your life, you just have to upload your resume. People would filter you, would certainly get in touch with you, and you will find the work of your choice. You will find the thing of your passion.
So this gives a lot of hope to people, I'm sure. And you'll also notice, how passionate Prerna is about advising all of us that please go ahead. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give
Never.
up on, because today and even when, so Prerna, so you found, so also now the next step is tell us what you found, because we said, that's why we call the topic, accepting the fact that there can be a different profession with what you are as a teacher. So what is it that you do now? Can you just explain to all of us, please?
Yeah. So as I was a teacher and I am a teacher and I would always be a teacher, I was looking for something which would let me interact with children or something that has got to do with children. But I would be more specific, dealing with children always attracted me. In addition to that, affinity for the language, English language, that was my second strongest attraction. So I applied at various places for the post of teacher, but not the regular teacher, the online teacher, because looking at my husband's job profile, I knew transfer is inevitable. It can happen anytime. And of course, a transferable job has its pros and cons both. Pros, that you learn to adapt. You get to know a lot of rich culture of India because you're traveling to different parts of India. But the biggest con is that you have to leave behind something that you build in ages, something that you give your time, you nurture day by day. And one day, one fine day, you have to leave it behind. So, since my husband is into a transferable job, I was looking for something that would not get affected whether I'm in this part of the country or some other part of the country. When we were pandemic stricken, I did a lot of online teaching. So I applied for online jobs wherein I could interact with children. First thing that I got was being a public speaking coach, which is a very renowned company, again, operational in India, but it is catering to children all across the world. Across the globe, it has its branches. So I was contacted by them through this platform only, which is Indeed. Now, what I do, I train children how to express themselves well, how to be more expressive, how to get rid of stage fear, and how to write beautifully, so much so that a person who's listening to you can literally imagine what you're talking about, which is basically known as public speaking skills and creative writing skills. So yes, yeah, I started with that. And I have students like in US, Canada, Dubai, UAE, Kuwait, India, of course, being the primary location. So yes, this is what I've been doing.
So just imagine, the boundaries are crossed. There is no more, it's like one global village. There's a teacher sitting in, in Nagpur and reaching out to different parts of the world. Now, this is real, this is real. And I think when I called and invited Prerna to come and be on our platform, I did this because I am seeing so many people in a deep gap, and some of them in intense need, some of them with intense pain, and somebody just with wanting to keep themselves occupied. So I think all these things. So also, Prerna, I want to ask you another question. How different are the working hours on these online platforms? Because if somebody's in the US, they are night, different. How different is it, and how is it that you adapt? What did you do to adapt?
The best thing about online teaching is that it gives you immense flexibility. If you want, you can work throughout day, throughout night, which is 24/7. So the choice is going to be yours. Basically, when you choose to be an international teacher, you have to accept the fact that you would have to work maybe late hours or early morning. You have to make a choice because of the difference of standard times, right? So I chose to work early in the morning, which is like I start my work from 5 o'clock in the morning. At the same time, if you are willing to work, like I've seen people working 24 hours, giving themselves a break of maybe a day, re-energizing themselves, regenerating themselves, and then taking up their work again. So online teaching always gives you this flexibility wherein you can be, I wouldn't, in fact, I wouldn't even call it a job. I would call it that you are basically running your own business. You are manufacturing your product in the form of your skills. You research, you make your own curriculum, you make your own content depending upon the children. Then you are the seller because you are selling your efficiency and you are the face of your job. If you do it well, people will ask for your services, which is like teaching definitely. And yes, but you have to be efficient, highly efficient, because this is a little different from school teaching, wherein you know that children are bound to come. They would come to the school. There is no denial to the fact. Here, if you don't do your job well, then you have to take a back seat. So this
You don't
basically,
get clients. That's what you mean. Finally, these children are your clients. So I love
absolutely.
hybrid, that you're running your business, you are designing it, you are skilling it up, you're scaling it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? So it's like doing work for your own self while you're connected to an organization. I think the whole thought is quite nice. I may just look for this profession.
So the organization basically connects you to the different children of different parts of the world. How well you do in that entirely depends upon your efficiency. So the people who are really passionate about teaching, who are really looking forward to doing something, but are not able to find appropriate opportunities, this is something that is for you.
How beautiful. Okay, so another thing while you were talking to me, you said that you design curriculum for each learner.
Exactly. When it comes to the so basically I'm working with two organizations. One is Planet Spark, which offers one-to-one coaching, which means, why do we do that? Because as I just said, that every child has his own competence level. If given an opportunity, parents would always like to go ahead with a program wherein there is a teacher who understands the child, who understands the need of the child, and depending upon that, designs the curriculum. Now, when I say curriculum, it doesn't mean that you have to start from A, B, C, D, E. No, that is already done. The foundation is already made. You have to teach them the art of imagining, being able to imagine things, being able to express it in the correct expressions, emotion, voice modulation. You have to train them on that. So how do you train them on that? For that, you have to search activities. And let me tell you, it differs from person to person. You will never get a child, two alike children, who would take the same way to understand something. Every child needs a different way. And that is why one-on-one teaching comes into play. This is where it comes into play.
How beautiful is that? Because so many times I come across teachers who say that, oh my God, we get very bogged down by this, taking everybody on the same pace. And some people are more creative than the other people. So this is for them. This is for people who actually can create, design, like Prerna says, imagine and then build. So also another thing that I'm looking at and thinking is that while you do each of these things, your database of your own content becomes so wide.
So vast that there comes a time that you don't even have to create something every day. You have your own content which you can fall back upon, and that's it. You can just start with the class. One very positive thing about online teaching, I don't know whether you would agree with this or not, is that you can just teach.
You don't have to worry about administrative things, the calculations, the attendance,
right.
the marks,
Attendance, check-in.
yeah, all that.
So it's
Okay,
absolutely
so one more
interactive.
thing is also, while we are talking to everybody, this is also something that both Prerna and me thought we must convey to you. We are not discussing substituting schools.
That would never happen.
I want to ask Prerna her opinion on this, because see, everybody's gone. We went online for a year and a half. We saw research, we saw everything. In your opinion, we are doing two things here. One side, we are saying that there is an option to become an online teacher and change your profession completely. But as schools, Prerna, how do you value this interaction of children in schools? You tell us about that. Children.
Point one. Who laid the foundation for me, Sonia?
Yes.
School. School laid the foundation for me, be it my job or be it the children that I'm getting. I'm not teaching them ABCD. That was taught to them by the school, because it requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of dedication, wherein you are handling 30 children at a time. And by the end of the day, each of them is saying the same thing. How does that happen? It happens only in school. It cannot happen
Emotionally, tell
online.
me about this. You're taking a one-to-one class, but emotionally, tell me about how you feel that schooling, how important is it for children emotionally?
Schooling is definitely an indispensable part. Online teaching can be a substitute. You can't imagine teaching it, as you said, as the title of our session also says, it can be an alternate method of profession. It cannot be your sole method of profession. Why? Because, okay, I'll tell you, there's a drawback. So the school gives you financial security because you are not counting upon the number of students who are there in your class. That happens to be entirely the school's program, right? You don't have to fetch children. You don't have to keep a track of so many other things, because these are taken care by the administration department of the school. There also, you're just teaching, teaching, and teaching. But the school provides you a financial security. So, school, if you're working in a school, you can't think of quitting it if you're working for financial security, right? My point is that if you're working for financial security, you can't quit school. This can be an alternate method. Second, the foundation can only and only be laid in the school, because there are multiple ways, different activities, wherein at one point of time, okay, one-on-one teaching is very good. But at one point of time, children also look forward to interacting with other children.
Yes.
You know,
I think that is exactly, yeah. So in fact, because when I did this topic, somebody was telling me, "Itni mushkil se school khul rahe hain, and what is this you're propagating?" No, we are not saying that schools have to be replaced. We are saying that there are other parts of the child's development that can
exactly
cater to by this one-to-one teaching. So no way is Prerna or me suggesting that uh, replacement of the school is
no,
not
not at all possible.
other things, your
Mhm.
like public speaking, it could be creativity, it could be just getting the children to perhaps understand concepts. For that there is a big world, and I do know about it. When I spoke to you, Prerna, I thought to myself that one thing is the need of the teachers, which we have talked so far. But sometimes there are going to be children in different parts of the globe who may not have access to good teachers in their neighborhood. So it also becomes a need that gets fulfilled in that respect. Don't you think so?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And during the course of time, I've realized one thing, that children love group learning. They like to be with, they like to be with children of their kind. They like, and they learn more. When you put 10 children together of different learning abilities, they tend to learn more by looking at each other, by seeing each other, by answering each other's questions. So in no way can ever school be substituted by any other mode of learning, let alone online teaching. School is going to be an indispensable part of any education system across the world, not only in
Wonderful.
India.
I like the passion and conviction with which you see this. Also, I'm seeing it as children with different needs, because the other day we had somebody who was a speech therapist, and we don't get speech therapists just like that. So now the speech therapist deals with, children from different parts of the world, different parts of India, and she can reach them. So I think in today's conversation that I am looking at is that it's not only a great profession for the adults, it's also very good for children who have different needs. It could be special needs, it could be normal needs, it could be other needs, and it kind of connects a lot of skills together. Tell me,
It facilitates, yeah.
out of like if I tell you that, tell me three top skills that you feel have been enhanced once you've decided to take on this profession. You know, three things which you say, oh, this I've become good at. My this skill, and this skill. Any three top.
Okay. Yes. So first and foremost, you become too adaptable. You adapt to every given situation. You grow more each day. You learn while teaching children. You learn yourself, because it so happens many a times that children come up with such beautiful questions, but unfortunately you don't have the answer with you right at that moment. So you feel like, and you have that quest of finding question to every answer, that answer to every question that your child is coming up with. You grow. Point one, you understand different mindsets, because as I say, not everyone is alike. You understand different mindsets, and yes, of course, it gives you a lot of gratification. You get to know the importance of school learning. The amount of hard work is the amount of hard work that is put by every individual that is a part of education fraternity.
You talked about gratification. What kind of monetary benefits does this kind of profession have?
See, as I said, it's flexible. If you are willing to work for longer hours, you can earn multiple times more than what you would earn through any other profession. And I'm talking of basic professions. I'm not talking of some high-end profession, but yes, I'm talking of basic profession. So if you want to be within the comfort of your house, and yet you are willing to give the best of yourself, then, and you are ready to work for a longer period of time also, then it can any day fetch you more amount than any other basic job would.
Wow. Okay.
So as I talk of
And
flexibility,
as it's impolite to ask anyone what they earn, so we will not ask you that question.
all right.
But we will discover it for ourselves. Also, what I, because I think it's also important, because this is a thought that comes into a person's head, that if I do this, will I be earning enough? Well, as a teacher, there is a certain X amount that normally teachers draw, between 25 to 35,000 is the normal amount that they draw in schools which are being, reasonably well placed with teachers. But they will be much lower also, and there will be some very very skilled people in smaller towns which just don't simply pay. So
Not acquiring.
there are platforms for them, where you get out and say that no, I can do this and I can earn more. I feel at some points of time that earning is very important, because it also because it's at different stages of your life. Like, there'll come a stage of my life where I want to earn that money, I need to earn that money. Then I'll come to a stage of my life that I just work for
Yes.
working, I mean, just to keep myself occupied, well occupied. Another very important thing I want to ask you, Prerna, is that a lot of times when, we are doing online work, how exhausting is it? How tiring is it?
Sitting at one place, looking at the screen for hours at a stretch can definitely be tiring. Undoubtedly, it can be tiring, because when you're in a school, you're moving from class to class. You are talking, you get to talk to your friends, you have your own circle out there. But when you're doing it at home, you are sitting at one place and you have to do a lot of research, because as I said, you're selling your skills. So if you're not skilled enough, no one would be basically,
Yeah,
you
your
wouldn't be
clients don't accept it. Absolutely.
exactly.
So when somebody chooses this profession, and maybe you will inspire people, how important will fitness be? Should it be a part of their regime? Should they fit it in? Because I know that you are a fitness freak. You keep yourself fit. And so, what is it that you would advise people to do if they do take this on?
uh, of course, fitness cannot be, it cannot be, it has to be a part of your life at any given point of time, whether you're working in a school or you're doing online teaching. But the best part about school teaching is that any which way you have to walk a lot. You have to carry a pile of books with yourself and you have to move from one class to the other. Here, you are sitting at for hours at a stretch. So if you don't take care of your fitness, if you don't take care of yourself, then one fine day you might turn into a couch potato. So if you,
Also be cautious, be fit, be healthy, look for another profession. So Prerna, I want to thank you for, giving us this fantastic perspective. I'm sure that there will be people who will be brave enough, because today's session was for all those people who are thinking of doing it. They perhaps will go ahead and actually take this step, explore. It's a big world, and they'll find their kind of calling. So thank you so much for
thank
being
you so much. Thank you so
the
much, Sonia.
wishing everybody a very, very happy Diwali. I hope that it's a beautiful, happy festival. And today we are going to be taking a little gap during the only for the Diwali, maybe, or we will, and we'll be back very, very soon, and maybe bringing in another very, very interesting guest for you. And see you all soon. A very, very happy Diwali. Bye bye. Thank you.
Happy Diwali to all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sonia, for
you.
having me over.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Square, square, panda.